Hello, stargazers. This is your sky for this month of December 2021. My name is Joe Grida. I'm the Technical Information Officer for the Astronomical Society of South Australia. And let's start having a look at our astronomy highlights for December. And as we always do, let's draw the curtains on our night sky, our December night sky. Here we go. Let's just zoom in on our sky for a bit. And as we always do, we'll start off with the western sky, seeing everything sets first there. And of course, you can't miss a brilliant Venus in the western sky at the moment. You better enjoy it. We will lose it by the end of the month. It'll get too close to the sun. But for now, it's still an absolutely brilliant beacon in the western sky. A little bit higher up in the western sky, we've got the planet Saturn, and then higher still, the giant of the solar system, Jupiter. An astronomer friend of mine used to like to refer to the solar system as the Sun, Jupiter, and a little bit of rubble, because all the other planets put together couldn't make up the mass of Jupiter. The constellations that have kept us busy observing the night sky during spring, such as Aquarius here and Capricornus, and in the far south with Grus and Pavo, are now leaving us, and we really are starting to see the summer constellations in the sky. So let's just move around the sky towards the south, and there we see just the very end of Sagittarius starting to disappear into the west-southwestern sky. Pavo the peacock in the southern sky is getting lower in the sky, as is Ara. And I was out observing on Sunday night and noticed that the Southern Cross is really very low now, just hugging the southern horizon, along with the pointers, Alpha and Beta Centauri. Higher up in the sky, you can't miss them. The large and small Magellanic Clouds. Alongside the small cloud is, of course, the brilliant globular cluster 47 Tucani, or NGC 104, as it's known in the catalogue. A little bit further to the southeast, we're starting to see the stars of Carina starting to appear, and that little box there labelled as 3372 is the very famous Eta Carina Nebula, which I'm sure will get talked about early in the new year. Of course, Canopus is now rising quite high in the southeastern sky, as is Achernar, which is very high up there. Achernar is the end of Eridanus, the river, which we can see traced along here all the way out to right next to Rigel in Orion. It's one of the bigger of the constellations in the sky. I think only second to Hydra, the water snake, which we'll get to see during our autumn skies. Over in the east, Canis Major, the big dog with the brilliant Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. You've got both Sirius and Canopus being the first and second brightest stars in the sky. The summer Milky Way and stars are just absolutely brilliant. This area, to go out to a dark sky and have a look at it, is just absolutely awesome, absolutely incredible. a number of bright stars that we've got here with Rigel, Betelgeuse, Aldebaran in Taurus, and of course Sirius, as I said earlier, and Canopus and Achernar over here. So this is a brilliant part of the sky, and of course, how can we forget the Seven Sisters or the Pleiades? Unfortunately, my old eyes see it now with the naked eye as a fuzzy patch of light in the sky. I just cannot separate the individual stars. One person that was out with me observing on Sunday night said that she could see 6 of them. So she's doing better than me. Of course, very low in the sky, we've got Capella, the very bright star in Auriga, the Charioteer, which we don't see very well from here in the mid-southern latitudes at all. It just grazes the northern sky for us. As we head further towards the north, Aries, the Ram, followed by Pisces over here, and Pegasus, the winged horse of Greek mythology. Of course, low in the northwest, you've got M31, the a great galaxy in Andromeda. I read just in the last week or two that Australian astronomers have, after following some research, have deemed that the Andromeda galaxy is no longer twice the size of the Milky Way. It is actually about the same size as the Milky Way. Higher up in the sky here, we have the Pinwheel galaxy in Triangulum, M33, and that'll be our featured deep sky object tonight as we move on. Our lunar calendar for December: dark skies between the 1st and the 10th of December, and then again just for the last few days of December. The rest of the time, between the 11th and the 27th of December, you will have a bright moon in the sky, starting with first quarter on the 11th, and ending with the last quarter on the 27th. So do your deep sky observing in the evening during the first 9 or 10 days of the month, and then have another look in the last few days of the month. But of course, in between, you've got the moon, you've got double stars, you've got open clusters. A number of planetary nebulae are also quite easily visible with moonlight. So have a go at them as well. All right, so what are we going to feature for our lunar feature this month? And I thought I'd choose Palus Epidemiarum, which translated means the marsh of epidemics. Considering what we've been through the last 18 months to 2 years, I think it's probably a good choice to finish 2021. As you can see here, it's in the southwestern side of the face of the moon that we see. Tried to orient you. The straight wall is just over here. This is Copernicus up there, and the Great Walled Crater Gassendi just sitting there. So this is a sort of object that you want to have a look at around about 10 to 11 days after new moon. And as this image shows, best time for you to have a look at it is on the 14th of December, around about 1300 UT, which makes it around about 11 o'clock or just after 11 o'clock in the evening on the 14th of December. There's the crater Capuanus, which is part of that marsh of epidemics that I was telling you about. So here we go. It's a small mare. It's not as big as some of the others, like Mare Imbrium or Mare Nubium, the Sea of Clouds. This is smaller, so it gets the moniker of a palus or a marsh, so the marsh of epidemics. It's all lava flooded terrain here. As you can see, it sort of runs east-west, spans about 300 kilometers across there, and about 120 kilometers at its widest on the western side of the marsh. And some research told me that the thickness of the basalt here is around about 200 to 250 meters. Some of the more prominent features that you can see in this shot by Robert Reeves are the two Rimae. Rima Ramsden over here, which is actually a number of channels that you can see here, and they run all the way across there. And of course, Rima Hesidius, which is this big wide one that runs right across here into Mare Nubium on this side, on the eastern side. I showed you, I pointed out the crater Capuanus before, when we were looking at the best time to have a look at the moon. That's on the southern side of the marsh. And another nice lunar feature that you can just pick up here is one of the lunar domes. Near the western end, the Ramsden crater just here, after which these Rima are named. Crater Chicos, you can barely see the label for it down here on the far eastern, southeastern side of the Mare. I shouldn't call it a Mare. It's a Palus. And the northern part of the Palus is bordered by these two large craters, Campanus and Mercator. And right in the middle of this area is the little double-walled crater Marth. So have a look at this next time you're out looking at the moon. And as the moon is getting around about the 10-day-old, it really does reduce the sort of things that you can look at in the sky. So make the most of it and have a look at the moon. Have a look at this area. It's really quite interesting. The best way to look at it is just produce enough magnification that you can still fit all of that area in the one field of view of the eyepiece. All right. So what are the planets doing for December? As we look at the Earth and its path around the Sun, we can see that the planet Mars is on the other side of the Sun and just starting to show in the morning sky. Probably by around about the middle of December is when you will be able to start having a look at it. Very only half an hour or so before sunrise, you should be able to start to see them in the eastern sky. A great event on the 1st of January, which, because it happens on the 1st of January, I've included in this month's presentation, and I will tell you about it in a short while. Mercury is starting to show up in our evening sky during December, and as I said earlier, Venus is still there, but as it's moving faster than we are around the Sun, it will start moving ahead of us, and therefore we'll lose it in the Sun's glare by about the middle of the month. It's been with us as the evening star for about 8 months, Doesn't seem that long, but yeah, I've certainly enjoyed watching Venus. And with the outer solar system, you saw that Jupiter and Saturn are now also setting very soon after sunset, especially Saturn. Looking at it through the telescope the other night, I really would urge you to make Saturn the first object after perhaps Venus. Um, if you're going out observing one evening, because you don't want to get it too low in the sky, because the greater amount of Earth's atmosphere that you're looking through will blur your view. And as I said earlier, Jupiter is also in that same part of the sky. So perhaps go Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter in that order as you move up the sky. Talking of Venus, this is the view of Venus in the western sky on the 15th of December, just after 9 o'clock. You can see the teapot of Sagittarius just starting to set, and higher up in the sky you can see Saturn there as well. I put this slide in because when you do look at Venus through the telescope, it really a gorgeous, nice thin crescent, just like that. It's brilliant white, unlike this rendering from the Stellarium program in the telescope. It just looks absolutely brilliant. It's a very thin crescent. This is has thin. That's the view of the crescent on the 15th of December. It's a little bit thicker at the beginning of December. But by the 15th, it'll look just like that. On the same night, whilst you're looking at Venus a little bit lower in the sky, look higher past Jupiter and Saturn, and you'll see the moon. A little bit to the left of the moon is the planet Uranus. This might be a good opportunity for you to go hunting for the planet Uranus. They're about 2.5 degrees apart. Actually, earlier in the day, when you wouldn't be able to see it because the sun will still be up, at 4:30 p.m., the moon makes a closer pass of Uranus at 1.4 degrees distant. But have a look around about 9:47 p.m. and you'll have a separation of 2.5 degrees between the moon and Uranus. So you should be able to just start your telescope view with the moon, and then star hop across there to Uranus. Now, I mentioned a special event with Mars on the 1st of January. So get yourself. I know it'll be hard for all those people celebrating New Year's Eve. Perhaps you haven't gone to bed at all, which is a great time to get out and have a look. Really, a pair of binoculars will do the job for you. If you've got a telescope, even better. But on the 1st of January at 4:50 a.m. Adelaide time, they'll only be 7 degrees above the horizon, but you'll have a very, very thin crescent moon, which will pass in front of Mars. This is the view at 4:50. So if you're late at 4:51, it'll have disappeared, and then it'll come out about half an hour or so later on this side. So have a look at Mars getting occulted by the moon in the early hours of the 1st of January. I mentioned Comet Leonard in our presentation last month, but because it's going to make its proper appearance in our southern skies this month, I thought I'd better repeat the process. Comet Leonard will make its closest approach to Earth on the 12th of December. It then, as it's moving towards perihelion, towards the sun on the 3rd of January, it then makes a pass on its way to the sun via Venus on the 18th of December at 4.1 million kilometers. A couple of days later, actually Venus passes through the tail of the comet. So hopefully there'll be quite a meteor storm if you were a Venusian looking from Venus. All these little debris left over by the comet would be falling onto Venus's atmosphere. Best time for us to have a look at the comet is when it appears in our evening sky, in the sunset sky, from about the 16th of December. This is a picture of the comet as it looked on November 16 by Michael Mattiazzo using a remote telescope in New Mexico. Michael is based in Swan Hill in Victoria. Another view of the comet, this time from a Northern Hemisphere observer observing from Austria, Michael Jaeger, took this one on the 25th of November, just a week or so, not even a week ago now, as the comet was traveling through Virgo near the Corvus border, and you can see here the galaxy NGC 4631 in the center of the image. You can see how large the coma is getting, and it's already showing quite a nice tail. I reckon the best time to have a look at it is a few days after it starts to reappear in our western sky. It'll rise higher and higher during the next few days. So you can see it here. It'll be to the left and just above Venus on December 18th at 9:20. You can still see it's not perfectly dark sky. I think from memory, twilight, the end of astronomical twilight is just after 10 o'clock. By then, it'll really be quite low in the sky. So see if you can catch it on the 18th. You may need a pair of binoculars to have a look at that. Next chance, I would say, will be the 20th of December. It will have risen a few degrees higher in the sky, and it'll make a really nice triangle with Venus, Saturn, and the comet. Hopefully by then it will have start to show, as it's higher in the sky, a little bit darker, start to show some of that tail visually. But a pair of binoculars should do a really good job. There's talk of the comet achieving a magnitude at around this time of somewhere around 3-4 magnitude. If that's the case and it has a reasonable tail, it should make quite a nice naked eye view. But if not, grab a pair of binos and you get a nice look at it. Thank you to Martin Lewicki, who created this little chart using the same Stellarium program, showing the path of the comet during mid to late December. You can see it here. There it is on the 19th. There it is on the 20th, like I showed you in the background slide there. Saturn, Venus, and the comet. You can see it's rising higher and higher in the sky, but also it's getting further and further from us. So it's starting to fade. So make sure you have a good look at the Christmas comet. Okay, our double star of the month. Normally, I try and steer into the southern sky for most of my featured objects, but I couldn't help it this month. I had been looking at Pegasus and some of the galaxies in Pegasus the other night, and I noticed that this is the hind leg of Pegasus, the winged horse. So we're looking low in the northern sky. Iota Triangulum is this star here. You can see M33 and the Great Nebula in Andromeda, the Andromeda Galaxy, just there. So whilst I called it a double star, it is actually a quadruple star system. All the stars combine to give us a combined magnitude of 4.5. So to see it naked eye, you need to be in a reasonably dark sky, or grab a pair of binoculars and you'll be able to pick up the star. But to separate the two main stars, you will need a telescope, definitely. The separation is only just a tiny fraction below 4 arc seconds. So you're not going to be able to split that with binos. In this sketch by Jeremy Perez, you can see that he's used a 6-inch reflector and a magnification of 240 times. I always say with double stars, apply a magnification which is just large enough for you to be able to see dark sky between the two stars. These are a yellow and blue pair, so it'd make a very, very pretty view. They are a magnitude 5 G star, so that's the yellow star, and the what appears to be like a blue color, although I wouldn't have thought an F star would be blue, but that's what it actually does look like through the telescope. Perhaps the yellow of the G star is producing that color effect in your eye. The stars are around 300 light years away from Earth. So as I said, it's actually a quadruple system. The yellow sun, the G-type star, has an F5 dwarf which orbits it every 14.7 days. They are very, very close. You will not be able to separate them. The same goes for the B star, the blue one, which has also got an F type star that's orbiting it. It takes only 2.24 days to orbit, and they're only separated by 7.5 million kilometers, so very, very close. Still a pretty pair of yellow and blue suns for you to have a look at. So as you go out on an evening and have a look, this is where you'll find Iota just over here. This here is the square of Pegasus, Alphatraz at the bottom. There's the Andromeda Galaxy just there. So you've got a wealth of stuff to have a look at whilst you're here. There's M33, which we'll talk about in a minute, and there's Iota Triangulum just there. Not that difficult to locate. Okay, as I hinted earlier, our deep sky object of the month this month. I thought whilst we're in that area of the sky, we might as well have a look at M33, not far from the Andromeda Galaxy, and there's Iota on this chart just there, so not very far apart at all. M33 is the third largest member of our local group of galaxies. The Andromeda Galaxy and our own Milky Way galaxy are the two largest ones. As we now know, the Milky Way and the Andromeda Galaxy are roughly the same size. M33 is much smaller. It's only about 50,000 light years in diameter, which makes it probably not much bigger than the Large Magellanic Cloud. The estimate is it's got about 2.4 billion suns. It was discovered by Charles Messier in August of 1764. Charles Messier was a French astronomer who decided to make a catalogue of all the fuzzy objects in the sky that he could find, so that he wouldn't be fooled into thinking that they were comets, they were new comets, because he was a comet hunter. So he wanted a catalogue to be able to say, if he saw a fuzzy blob in the sky at some point, he could refer to his catalogue and say, no, that is not a comet, that is a known object. Or he could shout in French that he'd found a comet. That's located 2.4 million light years away, so not that much further than the Andromeda Galaxy. This is quite a large object, 67 minutes by nearly 42 minutes in diameter. In comparison, a full moon is only 31 minutes across. So we're looking at something which is almost twice the size of the full moon. It's got an integrated magnitude of 5.7, but because it is so big, that light from the galaxy is spread over such a large area that it makes it very, very dim. You must be in a dark sky to be able to see this. Because of its large size, I would suggest that to begin with, to help you locate it, use 15 by 70 binoculars. The 7 by 50s I think will struggle. So 15 by 70s will give you a lot more light gathering, a little bit more magnification, and you should be able to see it through binos. And I would suggest to get a closer view of the different parts of the galaxy, because you certainly won't be able to get it all in the one field of view. Use a large scope so that you can actually start to have a look at some of the many H2 star-forming regions, the pink areas that you see in photographs that show you hydrogen, big clouds of hydrogen that eventually will form new stars. And there's some of these, there's so many of them in M33, and some of them are so large that they've actually got their own NGC number. As an example, NGC 604, which I'll point out to you shortly. So there it is in the sky. As I said to you earlier, there's Andromeda, there's Iota Triangulum, your double star, and then you can jump straight across to M33 here, and then why not go down there and have a look at M31. Again, this is even bigger, so leave the telescope alone. Use 7 by 50 binoculars or the 15 by 70s. M31 is around about 6 full moons across, so it's a huge galaxy. So you do need binos to have a look at that one. So get a close up of M33 here. You can see all of these star-forming regions, all these little pink spots here, and I know this one is one of the larger ones, and that's got its own designation as NGC 604. Just a reminder that coming up in a few weeks' time, myself and Paul Martinitis will be doing a presentation on some of the, as it says here, the roads less travelled in the southern summer sky. I could also call it as the back roads of the southern sky. We'll be talking about some of the more obscure objects and some of the more obscure constellations that perhaps your regular observer doesn't really go to very often. Constellations like Reticulum, Horologium, Tucana, other than 47 Tuc, which obviously everybody knows. So do tune in on the 17th of December for that one. And actually, whilst I mentioned Paul Martinitis here, Paul will actually be taking over the presentation of the sky this month from January. So I'm sure that he'll make each of the presentations very, very interesting and informative for you. So, as always, I'd like to remind you that many of the sky charts and images that you see during this presentation are created with the Stellarium software, and there is a version for almost every operating system. So if you want to use this, just download it. It's completely free. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching me over the last 18 months or so that I've been doing these. Make sure you give Paul a great welcome for the January one. If you do have any questions about anything that we talked about tonight, please email me at technical@asa.org.au, and I'll be very happy to answer it. To get the latest information about activities within the Astronomical Society of South Australia, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can rewatch or watch this program and many of the others that we have done in the past. All of our monthly talks are recorded, and you can watch those. Follow us on Facebook for any last minute information. Follow us on Instagram, where we publish many images from our members, and follow us on Twitter as well. So you can find us almost anywhere. So thank you for watching. Have a Merry Christmas. Do enjoy looking at the Christmas comet, and I'll catch up with you on the 17th of December. Thank you.